Missed an episode of your favorite podcast? Choose from over a decade of content in our archives, not just the latest episode. All free at GCNlive.com.
This is your call to action. Get prepared, America. Economy, survival, energy, disasters. This is USAPrepares.com. Informative radio, educational radio. Interact now by emailing instructor@USAPrepares.com or text at 434-390-7953. Class, please take your seats. Now, your instructor, Vincent Finelli.
Everyone all set, cocked, locked. Here we go. Your dial set correctly to USAPrepares.com. We're delighted you're here, and we broadcast 2 hours, Monday through Friday, right here on GCN, and it's also carried one day later on RBN. If you'd like to call in, we'll pay for the call, 866-582-9933, 866-582-9933. If you'd like to listen to us as you travel or at home, there's a listen line. Actually, there's several listen lines, but let me give you one of them. 605-477-3249, 605-477-3249. There's a link to your instructors on the website, USAPREPARES.com. John is engineering the broadcast in Minnesota. And I received, let me just give you a couple quick announcements. There have been some calls to the farmhouse. People have been asking if any of you are interested in selling Bitcoins, possibly buying Bitcoins. And if you have a connection, if you want to do it privately, you can go to the USA Prepares website and contact us through the project inquiry form. That's if you're interested in selling, buying Bitcoins privately. USAPrepares.com, project inquiry form on the website. And we'll see if there's any interest. So, over the last month and a half, I've received several calls from Guineith Isaacs. And Guineith has told me some interesting stories. She lives off-grid. She's got a solar system, battery system, inverter system. She lives off the grid and interesting life. And so, I asked her if she would come on the air with me and tell us just what Australia's like. You know, maybe I need to relocate to Australia. I'm thinking that maybe the epicenter of chemtrail flu is not where I need to be. So I'm exploring options with the rest of the family. You know, where is it a great place to live? And by the way, class, if you think your neck of the woods is a great place to live, you can always call in on any broadcast, 9 a.m. through 11 a.m. Central, and let us know where it's a great place to live and why. Now, that would be the economy, meaning cost of living low, freedom from government help, meaning lots of police are not there, and freedom to live your life unassisted by government minions. Weather's got to be acceptable, got to be able to grow food, raise food, and enjoy life the way it used to be in most places in the United States in the 1950s and 60s. That's kind of what we're looking for. So Guineith has called us, and she's on the air with us now. Welcome, Guineith.
Hello, Vincent. How are you today?
I'll take. Go ahead.
Carry on. That's all right.
You know, I am getting better every day. My super glue is still on my stomach, holding me together, and hopefully, within the next couple of weeks, I'll be able to walk around and begin becoming a productive member of our farm the way you are in Australia.
Yep.
I've got a question. I've got a question for you. How did you, before we get started, how did you hear about USA Prepares?
Well, I like to listen to a lot of podcasts. What I usually do before I go and do my farm work during the day is I make sure that I've got some podcasts loaded on to listen, usually through YouTube. Okay? And I think I was looking up Alex Jones, and I was looking up Ron Gibson's channel, and I happened to see your show there, and I'm into preparedness anyway. And I said, oh, well, I'll listen to this guy on Ron Gibson's channel on YouTube. And I decided that I jolly well liked your show. But do you know something? You were saying about a life free of government interference. And I want to say that if you want a life free of government interference, do not move to Australia, because you'll be sorely disappointed.
All right, let me just cross that off the map right now then. You know, that's the that's the problem. You know, in the 1950s, the father of a family, let's say there were 2 children, mother, father, the father could go to work a regular 8 hours, come home, and the bills could be paid. They could live in a house, they could have a car, and it was just wonderful. And then through inflation and taxation and intervention and oppression and codes and restrictions, it became impossible to do that. You needed to have mother and father working. And in order to do that, you had to hire somebody to raise your children for you, or drop them off, you know, at a children raising center. And as a result of that, our children have no idea what's going on. They have very few skills. They don't have motivation, innovation. They're not as bright as the previous generation. And the whole thing is spiraled down, and it's all because of the government greed that they want to steal from all of us. At least that's my take on it. And I hate it.
I tend to agree there. Yeah. Yeah. No, carry on.
Can you give us a thumbnail? Now, you were born in New Zealand.
That's right.
Depression era parents.
That's right.
Tell us what that was like, what your family was like, and then how about this? How about if we then talk about how you got where you are, who you are, and so forth?
Okay. Now, when I say I was born to Depression-era parents, I was born in 1974, okay? So I'm very much of Alex Jones's generation, but I grew up in New Zealand. I think he might be a year older than me. But most of the parents of children my age were 20 years younger than my parents. My mother was 42 when I was born, and my father was 44. And my father was fairly well off, but my mother's parents, her father was an alcoholic, and her mother, was raising her on extremely limited means. And in those days, there was not so much government help. My grandfather, my mother's father, although he was an alcoholic for many decades, he was trained in the military, so a very strong part of the military back then, and probably still is the same now, is do whatever you want when you're not on duty, but make sure you turn up for your shift sober. And that was very much my grandfather's work ethic. So, yes, he used to get horribly blindly drunk and waste all the family's money when he wasn't working, but when it was his turn to do the shift, then he was always sober, and he was a good worker, and he always managed to have work. And this was during the 1930s, or actually my mum He was born in 35. So this was during the 1930s, 1940s, when my mother was growing up. But my grandfather, my mother's father, always had work because he turned up to work sober. And he used to work on the railways, and before he was on the railways, before he emigrated to Australia, because my grandmother and grandfather lived in Australia, in Western Australia, he used to work at Buckingham Palace because he was in the household cavalry, which is rather interesting. His father, who was William Long, his uncle, who was William Long, was actually His Majesty's Chief of Horse. And this is easily verifiable by anybody who wants to go out there and check who William Long is, and they will find that he was the King's Chief of Horse, and his final duty of his whole career was to ride Her Majesty's carriage horse when she was crowned in 1956, I think. I think it was 56 that Her Majesty was crowned, but I'm not sure there. But that was my great-uncle's final duty, great-great-uncle's final duty. And my grandfather was William Jesse Long, and he was actually named after his uncle. So that's the family black background. So they were a family of British blue bloods. And my grandmother's family were descended from the Earls of Lindsay. She was the granddaughter or the great-granddaughter of the Earl of Lindsay. And the Earl of Lindsay was, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Braveheart, but when when William Wallace's uncle comes up on the big white horse and says, "I'm your uncle, Argyle, you'll be coming with me now," and all that sort of stuff. And he goes and lives with his uncle after his father is murdered by Edward I in a war.
Yep, that's what you think it is. Yeah, that's our first break. Yeah. Gwyneth Isaac's with us, and she's telling us who she is. And when we come back, Gwyneth, I'd like to ask you what people think of the Queen. What do they actually think of the Queen? We'll be right back. Class, I'm a survivalist, and my plan is to be independent of everything that I can so that supply chain disruptions have a minimum impact on our family. What's the first thing that you do when the power goes out? I've researched the best value solar energy system that I can find, one that's backed by the technical support necessary for the undertaking. The system's installed and is generating electricity right now with equipment purchased from IronEdison.com. You heard Brandon Williams, CEO of IronEdison.com, right here on USA Prepares. Together, we designed our system. In my opinion, our IronEdison.com system has more features, more value, and more potential than any other system I found. We chose the Snyder Electric system with a hybrid inverter, charge controller, power panel, battery disconnect, and the system control panel. If you want energy independence, as we have, please consider calling the engineering team at IronEdison.com, 720-432-6433, 720-432-6433.
Are you worried about your mom or dad living alone in their house? Hi, I'm Joan London. Listen, I know how difficult it is to find senior care for someone you love. That's why I recommend a free service called A Place for Mom. They are the nation's largest senior living referral service. Call A Place for Mom today.
To receive free information on senior living communities in your area, call A Place for Mom at 1-800-704-6182.
A Place for Mom offers free one-on-one advice from local advisors and a personalized list of senior living communities you can visit. If you have questions about senior care for your mom or dad, there's a place for answers, A Place for Mom.
Call A Place for Mom in the next 10 minutes to get your free ebook on financing senior care as well as free information on senior living communities in your area. Call 1-800-704-6182. That's 1-800-704-6182.
There's nothing more enticing and intoxicating than the finest meat cooking on an open flame. Freeze-dried meat from newharvest.com is U.S. grown, 100% all-natural with no extra fillers. Just grass-fed beef and free-range chicken guaranteed to stay fresh and delicious. Add New Harvest freeze-dried meats to your current food storage. You'll buy direct from the factory, not a third party, ensuring the best price and the highest quality. See all our products at newharvestfoods.com. That's newharvestfoods.com.
You're fired. According to the Small Business Administration, 75% of small businesses plan to eliminate jobs or reduce workers' hours to part-time. You're fired. According to Gallup, the unemployment rate recently jumped to nearly 9%, and the underemployment rate hit a staggering 17.9%. You're fired. 1 out of 3 young adults and 1 out of 2 recent college graduates are underemployed. Hello, I'm Keith Abel, a pharmacist and a home business entrepreneur. In 2011, I became one of those statistics myself. Instead of looking for another job in corporate America, I joined Dr. Joel Wallet, the Dead Doctors Don't Lie guy. We're creating steady incomes for ourselves and would like to show you how to do the same. If you want to supplement your current income, replace your income, so you don't have to become one of the statistics, then give me a call toll-free at 866-257-3105, 866-257-3105. You're fired. Don't wait till you hear those words. Start creating an extra income today. 866-257-3105.
We use mobile devices right against our bodies every day, but growing scientific evidence has emerged showing serious health risks associated with exposure to EMF radiation emitted from these devices. The solution is Defender Shield, the most effective mobile radiation shielding ever developed. Defender Shield blocks virtually 100% of EMF radiation from cell phones, tablets, and laptops, and starts at just $64.99. Buy now at DefenderShield.com. For 10% off, use promo code GCN. DefenderShield.com, the worldwide leader in mobile radiation shielding.
Class, Guineith Isaac's with us, and Guineith, I have a friend who I see, sometimes once a year, and I'll go to a convention of a topic that I'm interested in, and he'll fly over from England, actually, from England. And I've said to him in the past, we'll have dinner together, a bunch of us guys will get together for dinner, and I'll say to him, so tell me about the Queen. And he'll say, she's the Queen. I'll say, what does she do? Well, she's the Queen. Okay, what does she do? Well, she's the Queen. And that's as far as I can go. What do people think of the Queen?
Here in Australia, she is actually the head of state. Okay, so we don't have a president; we have the Queen. But there's been a fraud that's happened in Australia. Unfortunately, it started when I was just a tiny child. And what that has been was we had a prime minister, and his name was Gough Whitlam, and he did a dirty deal. And he said, we're not going to have all of our documents signed off by Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II anymore. We're going to have the documents signed off by somebody that he invented called Eliabeth R. That's Eliabeth. He even spelled her name wrong, just like in a Nigerian scam. Okay? This is a fictitious straw man. So, although technically Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II is still the Queen of this country, she's still the head of state, no documents have been signed in her name since about 1975. And Gough paid for his treason because he was deposed by the Governor-General, who is Her Majesty's representative here in this country. But it's that the mistake was not fixed, and unfortunately, that's put the whole country onto a rather treasonous track ever since. It's as if somebody decided to, not actually elect the President of the United States, but just to set up a fictitious straw man and to, sign all the legislation into law in the name of this fictitious straw man called, I don't know, Obama? when he wasn't actually elected the President of the United States and he was nominated by a committee.
Yeah.
That's what it would be like. So, like I say, unfortunately, the mistake was not fixed. And that's really given the globalists not just a toehold in this country, it's basically given them the keys to the bridge of the ship. And it's very, very unfortunate. And it was around about that time that my mum and dad, who had been living in Geraldton, Western Australia, which was where they both grew up, it was during the era of Gough Whitlam that they moved to New Zealand. And that was in 1973. And around about a year later, I was born. So that was in 1974. And he was deposed, I think, in 75 from memory, Gough Whitlam. But he was treasonous. And he sold our whole country down the river, and it's been sold down the river ever since, unfortunately. Yep.
Guineith, you say that your husband Archie was a missionary to the Melbourne, Victoria underworld?
Yes, that's right. He was before he was a Christian, okay, he was a gangster himself. And he got his training. That's a break again. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no shortage of breaks. There's no shortage of breaks. When we get back, please tell us more about your husband and the underworld.
Okay.
Guineith Isaac's with us from Australia. We're live. We'll be right back.
Are your Google search results killing you? Unflattering content in blogs, news articles, online reviews, social media, or other sources can jeopardize your reputation, your business, and your livelihood. Let Reputation.com help. Our patented technology will make the truth about you more visible while pushing down unwanted negative content. Improve your Google search results. Call Reputation.com at 1-800-831-0771 for a free consultation. That's 800-831-0771.
The best-kept secret in the firearms business is CDNNsports.com. CDNN Sports is the largest firearms liquidator in the U.S. We've got optics, accessories, gun parts, magazines, ammunition, and more. Sign up for our email specials today for the best gun deals, period. You will also be entered to win a Winchester 101 field shotgun. Go to Charlie, Delta, Novembersports.com. That's CDNNsports.com.
As a doctor, I see patients every day who are losing their vision and independence to age-related macular degeneration, also known as AMD. It's the leading cause of blindness in adults 55 and older. Some of us are at greater risk for AMD. If you have blurry vision or blind spots, they can be symptoms of AMD. If left untreated, it can lead to blindness. The good news, with early detection, AMD can be managed with effective clinically approved treatments that can reduce or even reverse some vision loss. Learning that you have AMD can be scary, but there's hope and help. The Foundation Fighting Blindness is researching and developing treatments and cures for AMD. To get your free AMD information packet, contact the Foundation Fighting Blindness today at 1-800-BLINDNESS. That's 1-800-BLINDNESS. Join the fight against AMD because together there is a cure in sight.
We all know that Berkey Water Purification Systems are the most trusted name in water filtration. As an authorized Berkey dealer for over 6 years and serving thousands of satisfied customers, the Berkey Guy offers amazing specials for Berkey Water Filtration Systems. The Berkey Light Systems include a set of self-sterilizing and recleanable black purification elements that purify water by removing chlorine, pathogenic bacteria, cysts, and parasites to non-detectable levels and remove harmful chemicals such as herbicides and pesticides. Order the Berkey Light Systems system today, complete with 2 black Berkey elements for only $231, and the Berkey Guy will ship your order free of charge. With the purchase of a Berkey Light, the Berkey Guy is also offering a set of fluoride and arsenic filters for only $39.99. That's over 30% off the retail price. Call the Berkey Guy at 1-877-886-3653. That's 1-877-886-3653. Or order online at goberkey.com. That's goberkey.com today.
I'm Nick Soboleski, a Select Quote agent with a true story that could save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband, Ray, has a $300,000 group life insurance policy, but is changing jobs and can't take it with him. Well, I impartially shopped the highly rated term life insurance companies we represent and found Ray, who is 41 and takes medication to control his cholesterol, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $26 a month. That's almost twice the coverage for less than half of what he had paid. If SelectQuote hasn't shopped for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 1-800-403-4885. That's 1-800-403-4885. 1-800-403-4885. Or go to SelectQuote.com. We shop, you save. Get full details in the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Your price could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
This is a healthcare alert from the Pain Relief Hotline. If you, a family member, or a loved one suffers from knee, back, shoulder, or ankle pain and have Medicare as your primary insurance, we've got great news. You don't have to suffer any longer. You can immediately qualify for a pain-relieving brace at little or no cost to you by calling our 24/7 Pain Relief Hotline at 866-389-0620. Delivery is free and all paperwork is handled for you. If you are on Medicare and have knee, back, shoulder, or ankle pain, don't wait. You can qualify to immediately receive a pain-relieving brace at little or no cost by calling our 24/7 Pain Hotline now at 866-389-0620. Our representatives are standing by 24/7 to take your call and rush you your pain-relieving brace at little or no cost to you. Shipping is free and all paperwork is handled for you. Just call 866-389-0620. That's 866-389-0620. Again, 866-389-0620.
Class, I just did a quick count. You now have instructors from 6 countries: United States of America, Canada, Guatemala, United Kingdom, Australia, and Austria. 6 countries. I'm all excited. So Guineith Isaacs, your husband was a gangster.
Yes, he was a gangster from the age of 6 years old on the streets of Glasgow. And his uncle founded one of the biggest street gangs in Glasgow, and that was called the Knife Gang. And I believe it's still going. I searched it a while back on the internet, and I believe these days it's called the Knife Crew. But my husband's uncle was Davy Livingstone, not the famous Dr. David Livingstone. That was another one of his uncles in a previous generation. But his uncle was Davy Livingstone, and so they had turf wars on the streets of Glasgow during the 1920s and 1930s and 1940s, where these gangs would get together and they would have full-on battles on the streets of Glasgow, okay, where they would have swords and knives. There weren't very many guns around, okay, but they would full-on have battles in the streets of Glasgow. And when World War II began, there was actually a number of different wars going on in Glasgow at the same time. There was the Scots versus the Germans, okay, because the Germans were sending paratroopers into the city and they were also bombing the city. There was the gang turf wars, which were constantly going on, especially on Saturdays, I believe. And there was also the Republicans versus the Orange Order. Okay, So that means the IRA versus the Orange Order, which is the Freemasons. And they would have their own turf wars on the streets of Glasgow. So it was a very complicated landscape, and my husband basically had to join up with his uncle's gang for his own protection and safety. Because since he was a member of his uncle's gang, no one would touch him, but it was so dangerous that he had to learn how to fight for his own survival. And I guess it would have been a bit like living in New York during the 1970s and 80s, like in the Bronx, maybe, when you had the Bloods and the Crips, but with a couple of extra levels of gang warfare happening as well. You know, English versus Germans, Scots versus Germans, etc. And that was the background. And so he made a lot of contacts in the Scottish and Irish and British criminal community when he was there, just by virtue that he was a gangster. And he ended up being second in command of the knife crew by the time he was in his early to mid-teens, okay? Because he was a fighter. When he got to about the age of, in his mid to late 20s, he actually became a Christian. And he realized that his former life was probably not going to be a long one. By this time, he had already emigrated to Australia. He had married, and he had, I think his first son was born in Glasgow. I think that he might have had 2 children by this time. He was working as a painter and decorator, but he still had all of his gangland connections, and he became a Christian. He decided that he was going to reform his life. He was going to stop drinking, and he went to Bible college. He became a minister of religion, Pentecostal minister, and he opened a mission. And he didn't realize the day that he opened the mission that the Hells Angels lived next door, which he wasn't intending to be a missionary to the Melbourne underworld, but having the Hells Angels next door sort of was God's nudge to him to say who his mission field was. And he was probably one of the only people who could have been a missionary on the whole face of the earth to the Hells Angels. And this was at 64 Napier Street in Fitzroy. And I don't know if their Melbourne headquarters is still there. But he had some very interesting adventures preaching the gospel to a bunch of outlaw motorcycle gangsters. And if it hadn't been for his former Glaswegian and Irish gang colleagues, he probably wouldn't have lived too long. And also the Holy Spirit as well, because the Holy Spirit did some amazing things, some outright miracles when he was in Melbourne and when he had his mission, and it was truly extraordinary. But I wouldn't recommend anyone out there deciding that they were going to go and be a missionary to the Hells Angels unless they had had a whole lifetime of experience of dealing in the gang culture, because you'll probably end up getting yourself killed, all right?
Are you saying that your husband was able to do this because he was involved in a level of crime that was quite significant, possibly even that involving the death of other people?
Oh, he never confessed anything to me, but, because he'd lived in that world, he knew how to navigate it. And I've heard from other people since then that in his previous life he had been quite deadly, let me say. He's dead now. He died of a heart attack, okay?
Do you think that was that a natural cause, or was that
It was a natural cause, because his father and his grandfather both died of heart attacks at the same age in Scotland, and they died in the Scottish Highlands. His uncle also, his uncle also had a heart attack but survived because of modern medical care.
Is there a link between the underworld and the police?
Oh, absolutely. Especially in Melbourne. Mm-hmm. Absolutely, especially in Victoria.
Are you saying that they cooperate and they're in business together?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know.
Can you tell us about that?
Okay, for example, when I was living in Geraldton, there were former colleagues of my husband who were living there that I'd met, but I met by chance when I was there. Friends of his that I'd met when I was living with my husband in Melbourne, and they moved to Geraldton and I moved to Geraldton, and by chance we happened to meet each other. Okay, by the way, I'm not involved in the underworld. Okay, I stay out of that world as much as I can. I don't want to be involved. Okay, but my husband's friends are my husband's friends, and you can't get away from that. And we were in love, and I knew him at a different era of his life rather than when he had been involved. But he still had these people. When you're involved in the underworld, it's not so easy just to leave. Okay, because I met them. I got to know who was who and got a little bit updated on who was still active and doing what, you know, just from talking to them, okay? And obviously I'm not at liberty to give the names of these people. But there's one fellow who was actually an enemy of my husband, okay? And he tried to murder my husband. He's a prominent public Melbourne underworld figure, and his name is called Mick Gatto, okay? And I don't like Mick Gatto very much, and he doesn't like me very much either, okay? He's a pedophile, okay? And he recently started sort of moving his vehicle through my town, my local town. All right, and so I don't know how deep that goes, but he began frequenting the local hotel, the local bar, and the license of that bar was owned by the mayor of that time, you know, and the cop of that town, Wedderburn, is as bent as a dog's back leg. So, you know, what relationship Mick Gatto now has with that bar, I'm not quite sure. But I know for a fact that the mayor doesn't have the hotel anymore because he was arrested last year. He was arrested for a hit and run. The whole thing is just a tangled mess of crime and corruption. You know, when the mayor had a hit and run, and the cops didn't even want to arrest him. But the thing is that the vehicle that he destroyed and the people that he put into hospital, they were some of the wealthiest people in town, and it couldn't just be swept under the carpet, you know. And all of this has been in the newspapers locally, but he didn't remain the mayor for very long, and apparently he lost the license of his hotel. But if you or I did that, we'd be in jail for about 5 years. But the mayor got $5,000 fine. And it's the
Guineith, I thought as you were describing this, you were talking about our Congress over here. Guineith Isaacs here with us. And when we come back, let's talk about drugs and the police running drugs. I'm Vin Finelli. Class, I'm a survivalist, and my plan is to be independent of everything that I can so that supply chain disruptions have a minimum impact on our family. What's the first thing that you do when the power goes out? I've researched the best value solar energy system that I can find, one that's backed by the technical support necessary for the undertaking. The system's installed and is generating electricity right now, with equipment purchased from ironedison.com. You heard Brandon Williams, CEO of ironedison.com, right here on USA Prepares. Together, we designed our system. In my opinion, our ironedison.com system has more features, more value, and more potential than any other system I've found. We chose the Snyder Electric system with a hybrid inverter, charge controller, power panel, battery disconnect, and the system control panel. If you want energy independence, as we have, please consider calling the engineering team at ironedison.com, 720-432-6433, 720-432-6433.
So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today.
This is an alert. If your business or church is building this year, you're about to pay more than you should. This could mean thousands of dollars more for your office, retail space, church, or warehouse. A General Steel building can save you as much as half the cost and time of similar conventional construction. And we're offering rebates of up to $20,000 to help you build today. Call General Steel for free information that could save you thousands. Call 866-91-STEEL. 866-91-STEEL. 866-91-STEEL.
Did you know that a dirty CPAP system can make you sick? If you knew what could be growing in your mask and hose, you might not sleep so well. But now, SoClean.com has released the world's first and only automated CPAP cleaner and sanitizer. It kills 99.9% of all CPAP germs, and it's completely hands-free. For a limited time, you can try SoClean risk-free for 30 days. Just call 1-800-952-2797.
SoClean changed the CPAP experience for the better. My health has improved. It's simple to use, and I'm not worried about infections.
SoClean destroys CPAP bacteria, viruses, and germs, and it eliminates the daily hassle of washing your system by hand. There's no water, chemicals, or disassembly. Just pop in your mask, close the lid, and presto! Your CPAP system is clean and fresh in minutes. Call SoClean.com to try it risk-free at home for 30 days. This is a limited-time offer, only available by calling 1-800-952-2797. That's 1-800-952-2797.
Attention backpackers, on a budget, why spend $80 to $300 to pump clean survival water? Introducing the Viva Water Pump Kit from Viva Outdoor Products. Super easy to use and super lightweight at only 6.5 ounces, the Viva Water Pump Kit provides high flow rate at 1 ounce per stroke, can be one-hand pumped, and is dependable and affordable at only $24.99, filter not included. Get your Viva Water Pump Kit at VIBA-ODP.com from Viva Outdoor Products.
Dangerous blood clot device alert. If you or a loved one had an IVC filter placed to prevent blood clots from traveling to your heart or lungs and suffered an injury, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. The FDA warns that IVC filters may cause serious complications, such as heart or lung damage, internal bleeding, and even death. These dangerous blood clot devices can break, and the metal fragments can travel to your heart or lungs, causing serious injuries. If you or a loved one suffered organ damage or other injuries from an IVC filter, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Act now. Time is limited to file a claim. For a free consultation and free information, call Injury Help Desk at 800-478-1507. 800-478-1507. 800-478-1507. This is an advertisement. Paid non-attorney spokesperson. InjuryHelpDesk.com is responsible for this advertisement. Principal office, Las Vegas, Nevada.
Are you worried about how dangerous the world has become? In these days of terrorist attacks, natural disasters, or even a future collapse, you need to be medically prepared to keep your family safe. I'm Joe Alton, MD of store.doomandbloom.net, where you'll find an entire line of uniquely designed medical kits and supplies for when help is not on the way. For everything from individual first aid kits to the ultimate family medical bag, go to store.doomandbloom.net today. That's store.doomandbloom.net. You'll be glad you did.
Plus, I just want to say thank you very much for keeping USA Prepares in the top 4 or 5 almost 24 hours a day on GCN. That's awesome. I guess you're paying attention in class. Please share the message with friends and family. One tip, if you plan on traveling during Independence Day, over the weekend, and on Independence Day, please don't let your vehicle fall below a half a tank. You could be stuck in gridlock for hours. And it could be quite serious if temperatures increase and you're stuck in very, very warm weather. It could be deadly. So make sure that you've got at least half a tank at all times. Guineith Isaac's with us. Guineith, police running drugs?
Yeah, they do, all the time. I would say, well, I know for sure that the Queensland police do. Archie and I moved up to Queensland probably about a year before his death, mostly because we were having the daylights hassled out of us by the child snatchers of Victoria. Okay, that was the families department, the pedophile central. I don't know what they call them around where you are, but I'm sure that they exist. Child Protective Services, I believe they're called in the US.
They are.
And so we moved to Queensland to hopefully get a new start and a better climate, but we found out that the Queensland police were absolutely, they make the Victoria police look positively tame. They have something up there these days, they're even worse, because they have something called anti-association laws, which means that if you have let's say a husband who is has a friend who is a gangster, and you meet with your husband and your husband's friend who is the gangster, then the police can come and arrest all 3 of you. Just because you happen to be meeting with a known gangster. And yet it's okay for the police to run drugs through islands in southeast Queensland.
Mm-hmm. Well, it doesn't sound all that different from the United States. Here they probably have another feature where they can use a device in Oklahoma and empty your accounts from funds because you're suspected of a crime. And also, the police, according to Mike Parsons, one of our instructors in Tennessee, told us that the cops will plant marijuana plants on farms, and then those same cops will raid the farms and find the marijuana plants that the cops planted, and then steal the farms. That's the kind of stuff we do in the United States.
That really doesn't surprise me at all. I don't grow any of those kinds of crops around here. It's like this. The farm that I have, I don't use marijuana, I don't grow it, but if other people want to use it or grow it, well, that's up to them, and I can see no real harm in it, all right? But the farm that I'm living on was first established by a couple called Jim and Josie Stump. And they were growing a crop up the back 13 years ago. Okay? And apparently it was can you hear me? Hello?
Sure, we can hear you just fine.
Can you hear me? I'm getting a message from Skype, no microphone detected.
No, okay. We're good.
Okay, all right. They were growing a crop up the back of marijuana, and apparently they'd been doing so for some years, and there was a small bushfire up the back, and the fire department had to get in and put out the fire, found the crop, and reported them to the cops, and that was the end of this farm for them. And
there you go.
The place was derelict for 10 years before I bought it 3 years ago.
You're not going to believe this, but we've just completed an hour of broadcasting. Thank you for joining us. I'm looking forward to having you come back again and again and share your stories. And even the story about how your yacht was sunk. I mean,
Yeah,
man,
that would be
Gwyneth,
interesting.
yeah, we'll do it again.
Yeah.
Gwyneth, thanks so much.
Okay, thanks for that. Okay.
How many of you want to learn how to dig up bugs, worms, and raise crickets for food? Do you prefer to eat them dried and crunchy or while still alive? Well, you won't have to if you can defend your food supply from predators. You may want to get an AR-15 kit from guns80.com and build your own AR-15 rifle from a kit. If you can legally own a rifle, you can purchase this AR-15 kit. If you're handy, you can complete the rifle in about an hour. The kit comes with all the parts you're going to need to build your rifle, but you'll need a drill press. And survivalists need one anyway. The Guns80.com team purchased the same used floor-standing drill press that I have for $100. You can too. And when you're finished, you'll have a paperwork-free AR-15 rifle, a drill press, drill bits, and the knowledge to maintain your AR-15 rifle, all for less than you expect. So if you want a paperwork-free AR-15 parts kit like mine, visit Guns80.com, Guns80.com, and let the unprepared have our share of the bugs.
This is Holly Thomas, Group Vice President of Cause Marketing for Macy's. Our company is working together with the March of Dimes through March for Babies to raise money and awareness about the serious problem of premature birth in the U.S. That's why Macy's is committed to raising funds through our employees, customers, family, and friends to improve the health of moms and babies everywhere. Won't you please join us in March for Babies? Start a team today at marchforbabies.org.
This is Dan Pilla. Do you owe the IRS money you can't pay? Are tax debts crippling you? I've defended people from the IRS for over 30 years. I've helped thousands, and I can help you too. I wrote the book on IRS settlement, and I'm telling you, there's no such thing as a hopeless case. Call 800-34-NO-TAX to finally get free of IRS debt. With the IRS's new programs, there's never been a better time to solve your problem. Call 800-34-NO-TAX. That's 800-34-NO-TAX, or my website, danpilla.com.
Everyone all set, cocked, locked. Hour number 2 of USAPrepares.com. Dr. Norman Shealy is with us.
And Dr. Sergey Sorin, the morning lark, is here. I'm not sure what the morning larks do, but glad to be here.
Dr. Sorin, it's great to have you with us today. And I wanted to thank you as well as Dr. Shealy for being at the meetup on Monday. You shared some really great insights about the former Soviet Union. And that was wonderful. So class, just to recap what Dr. Sergey Sorin and I were talking about at the meetup publicly, was that I was told in schools that the former Soviet Union, our big bad enemy, was in ruins, and there was poverty everywhere, and people lived in severe poverty. And I found out later on that those who were raised in the former Soviet Union were told the same thing about the United States. We lived in absolute poverty, and if you got hurt and you had to go to the hospital, you'd probably die because of the poor treatment that you would get in the United States of America in the hospital. So we were each lied to about the other. We were told that the Soviet Union was our biggest enemy, and we had to defeat them, and they were told they had to defeat us. And along that line of thinking, Dr. Sergey Sorin confirmed that. Well, Dr. Sorin, what did you experience?
Well, it's the propaganda goes both ways, and those who are behind it, really did a fantastic job. I'm not saying they were doing good things, but they did a really good job at being bad.
Yeah.
Prize of the year.
I was reading a story. Our son was in the kitchen. He said, "Dad, you're not going to believe this. Listen to this." And here's the story goes something like this: that flatulence, gas from humans, it may have some positive benefits, and that it may, of course, it smells, and most people will move away if someone has gas near them. But they say that hydrogen sulfide, which is, according to this article, the NewYorkDailyNews.com, that hydrogen sulfide can be toxic, but in tiny amounts, it's shown to help protect the mitochondria, which are known as the powerhouses of cells. And so it says that there's a study by Dr. Matt Whiteman of the University of Exeter, and explained that disease cells draw in enzymes to create small quantities of the compound, which help keep the mitochondria going and the cell alive. So, and then there's some thoughts that maybe breathing in some of this flatulence could help those with conditions like stroke, diabetes, heart failure, and dementia. Dr. Soren, Dr. Shealy, have either of you heard of anything like this? Because it really sounded like it was a hoax to me.
Oh, I'm not aware of I'm not aware of any experiments in which they measured being exposed to hydrogen sulfide. But who knows?
That would be a difficult study to have people become subjects to. Among people that I know. But I certainly do know some people who could provide the gas. I mean, they do that all the time. Usually, there's quite a bit of space around them, and I have a feeling it has to do with how we humans perceive the smell. But it does bring me to the thought that Norm, what are your Vincent? What are your thoughts about homeopathy? The principles of homeopathy, that even harmful things in small amounts can activate pathways to healing.
Well, there is some good evidence that homeopathy can be extremely helpful, especially in things like allergies. And in fact, although allergists don't like to talk about this, basically they are really using homeopathy to desensitize people to whatever they are trying to desensitize them to. So, they're diluents, if you will, or diluted amounts of things to gradually allow the body to take over. For instance, even with peanuts, this apparently, for some odd reason, an increased risk of asthma in some children, but if they're exposed in small doses, not homeopathic, but just small, they gradually accommodate them. So, yeah, there's no question that for some things, homeopathy is good. So, I can't imagine. And what's fascinating to me is, interestingly, diabetics have an increase in flatulence, according to the literature. So I can't imagine why breathing it would help, but who knows?
Norm, actually, since we have a little time, I know you talk about Suderman's homeopathy.
Suderman, yes.
Suderman, yeah. Can you expand this, for a brief time for about that?
Yes. Frau Suderman was what we would call in this country a naturopath. And she introduced the concept not just of using an exquisitely dilute amount of stuff, but using 6 different categories. So she went through the Krebs cycle, that is the sequence in which you actually metabolize sugar. There's certain specific phases. And then ketones, for instance, the best known ketone is probably CoQ10, but there are others in that family. And so instead of just looking for a single product, she desensitizes, if you will, the body to a wide variety of them. So you choose a toxin, you choose a detox thing, and et cetera. And it works. It works exquisitely well in autoimmune diseases like rheumatoid arthritis and scleroderma. I had one woman whose scleroderma was totally stopped in its progression by using the Suderman approach.
And that, from looking over the latest information, that's actually part of our pathways, or what we offer to those who would like to coach themselves or interested in becoming certified as holistic coaches.
Yes, it's so simple.
Would you like to share more about
about 1.5 days to learn the technique?
Would you share more, Dr. Shealy, about these holistic coach certifications?
Yes. Basically, what most people need before they become seriously ill is someone to teach them and guide them in developing good health habits. You were talking in the last hour about the fact that most people we don't have good health habits. Well, we are going to train individuals in all of the major stress reduction approaches, and they can certify them. They can hang out a shingle as a certified holistic health coach, which means basically they use a wide variety of safe approaches to teach stress reduction.
And stress is actually, to elaborate on stress, when most people think of stress, it's a little bit of a psychological stress, but it's not really accounted for as a major factor, whereas stress is psychological, physiological, environmental. If you eliminate, or if you have a way of working with stress, about 75 to 85% or more of diseases such as chronic diabetes, hypertension, cholesterol, leading to strokes, heart attacks, and depression, anxiety, that's actually stress-based. So that's really not a small thing.
Yes, basically, I make the distinction that all emotional stress is fear, and our reaction to fear is anger, guilt, anxiety, and or depression. And there are only 5 fears. Some people have a brain that plays the broken record of being afraid of dying. Some people have a fear of being an invalid. Some people have a fear of poverty. I'm talking about obsession with playing the broken records about it. But the 2 biggest fears that cause the most stress are the fear or feeling of being abandoned, in other words, loss of love, and or justice and why. The whole, what I call the whole fear of existence. Why me, God? Why do you allow this to happen? And people play these broken records about it, so they wind up with anxiety and anger and depression, et cetera, et cetera. And what I say is you cannot afford the luxury of that kind of preoccupation. That's why we go to my favorite word, which is detach.
Absolutely. And, life is not long enough to begin with. I mean, most people get maybe between 60 and 100 years. Now, it is possible to go beyond that, and, we are working with that. But that's not a big time, and that's not a large amount of time to enjoy yourself, to be productive, to have a purpose in life, and to accomplish something useful. So you might as well make the best of it.
When I think back, when I was, maybe 37, I thought, wow, it took 37 years to learn this much. That's a long time. And then when I was 50, I thought, wow, it took a long time. Now that I'm 63, I'm thinking, I barely know enough to get by. And I know more now than I did at 37 and at 50. And you're absolutely right. Life is really short, and it takes a long time to get the hang of it and to understand how things work and what to do. And wow, you're right. Life is really short. And when you talk about stress, there's this thought that there is a relationship between stress and the bulging waistline. And that, going to work, you have these panic situations where you have these things that have to be delivered to the boss. You've got to get them done. You got to get them done quickly. They've got to be right. Everybody's looking at you. And that causes a release of hormones that cause cravings, that cause us to eat, to cause overweight situations because we're just sitting there behind the keyboard. Can you comment on that when we come back, please? We'll be right back. Class, I'm a survivalist, and my plan is to be independent of everything that I can so that supply chain disruptions have a minimum impact on our family. What's the first thing that you do when the power goes out? I've researched the best value solar energy system that I can find, one that's backed by the technical support necessary for the undertaking. The system's installed and is generating electricity right now with equipment purchased from ironedison.com. You heard Brandon Williams, CEO of IronEdison.com, right here on USA Prepares. Together, we designed our system. In my opinion, our IronEdison.com system has more features, more value, and more potential than any other system I found. We chose the Snyder Electric system with a hybrid inverter, charge controller, power panel, battery disconnect, and the system control panel. If you want energy independence, as we have, please consider calling the engineering team at IronEdison.com, 720-432-6433, 720-432-6433.
Are you worried about your mom or dad living alone in their house? Hi, I'm Joan London. Listen, I know how difficult it is to find senior care for someone you love. That's why I recommend a free service called A Place for Mom. They are the nation's largest senior living referral service. Call A Place for Mom today.
To receive free information on senior living communities in your area, call A Place for Mom at 1-800-704-6182.
A Place for Mom offers free one-on-one advice from local advisors and a personalized list of senior living communities you can visit. If you have questions about senior care for your mom or dad, there's a place for answers, A Place for Mom.
Call A Place for Mom in the next 10 minutes to get your free ebook on financing senior care as well as free information on senior living communities in your area. Call 1-800-704-6182. That's 1-800-704-6182.
We call it the crapper, water closet, outhouse, or bathroom. But where do you go when there's nowhere to go? The answer is the Biffy Bag. The Biffy Bag is a pocket-sized disposable toilet that fits in your glove box, tackle box, toolbox, backpack, or purse. The Biffy Bag has everything you need for a sanitary and comfortable relief experience. It's ready to use in just seconds, and just toss it in the trash when you're done. It's your Biffy in a jiffy. BiffyBag.com. BiffyBag.com.
I'm Nick Soboleski, a Select Quote agent with a true story that could save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband, Ray, has a $300,000 group life insurance policy, but is changing jobs and can't take it with him. Well, I impartially shopped the highly rated term life insurance companies we represent and found Ray, who is 41 and takes medication to control his cholesterol, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $26 a month. That's almost twice the coverage for less than half of what he had paid. If SelectQuote hasn't shopped for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 1-800-403-4885. That's 1-800-403-4885. 1-800-403-4885. Or go to SelectQuote.com. We shop, you save. Get full details in the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Your price could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
The best-kept secret in the firearms business is CDNNsports.com. CDNN Sports is the largest firearms liquidator in the U.S. We've got optics, accessories, gun parts, magazines, ammunition, and more. Sign up for our email specials today for the best gun deals, period. You will also be entered to win a Winchester 101 field shotgun. Go to Charlie, Delta, Novembersports.com. That's CDNNsports.com.
Dr. Norman Shealy is with us, medical doctor. Dr. Sergey Sorin is with us, medical doctor. And we're talking about stress, the bulging waistline, the panic that results as being on the job where the boss is saying, get it done faster, 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 and it's got to be right, and your peers are looking at you, so the stress causes... allegedly, according to this article, causes hormones to be released that causes these cravings, and so we eat, sit at the keyboard, don't move too much, and put weight on. Does that sound like a likely series of events that happen?
Vincent, let me make a small, well, maybe not so small comment about this, because this is actually one of the major aspects of health and wellness, or lack of that. I'll relate a little incident, but my experience with an organization called New York Tactical Officers Association. It's basically the best of the most capable of the officers who respond to emergencies such as hostage situations. And there is, from time to time, as a medical provider, and I was very close with them, we used to go through drills, and I would sometimes play the bad guy, in other words, so they would have to catch me and so on and so forth. It was fun. But I'll tell you, when you are in that type of a situation and the stress is pumping the adrenaline, the cortisol, it's the same, it's the equivalent of you're basically, you're facing a tiger or a bear, and that's walking through the door, and, this is your time for fight or flight. And in an instant, everything heightens, you get tunnel vision, and it's just, it's an interesting set of responses. What happens in a short term is that if you go through something like that and then able to relax and reset, in other words, the sympathetic system activation then leads to the parasympathetic system responding and neutralizing it, and so that sympathetic and parasympathetic are in balance, and then you come back to the sense of ease, then that's all right. But most humans that I know are in a constant state of sympathetic overload. The chronic stress, the chronic release of adrenaline, cortisol, it leads to the burnout of the adrenals. And so the resulting effect is that the DHEA, which is one of the major hormones, is deficient as a result of that chronic burnout. Not only is there weight loss and dysregulation of eating and waistline, but there's also it kills everything. It kills the immune system. It really destroys our bodies.
Sergey, get a little further your mouth away from the phone. You're getting a lot of breathing into the phone.
Okay. How's now?
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah. So, were you able to hear what I was saying, or?
Yeah. But
yes.
Now it's better. Yeah.
All right. Fantastic. Good to know. Yeah. So,
Dr.
So what Norm and I do, and when we work with stress, is that stress is such a big factor, and when we say that we work with stress, it's no small thing. So, what the tools that we utilize is related to the balance of the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system, retraining the central nervous system so that you're actually going to be in balance even during the event. You can actually control your response. And of course, replenishing and neutralizing and coming back into the natural and middle ground, the balance of the DHEA and other essential hormones. And Norm, you have anything else on this topic?
No, the important thing is to be aware and to take positive steps to reduce your reaction to stress. You can't avoid the exposure to it, but you can minimize your reaction to it.
After the broadcast yesterday, I received a phone call from a gentleman on the East Coast who listens to the broadcast, and he called just to say thank you. And then we talked about generators. He was very interested in the generator. And I mentioned that gasoline-powered generators typically run at 3,600 RPM. Diesel generators typically run at 1,800 RPM. And the reason I'm mentioning this is a gasoline-powered generator is running at wide open throttle. Wide open throttle, and if you were to do research to find out how long they would last, typically they would last 30 days running continuously. That would mean that you'd also have to stop them to change the oil every day because you want to change the oil every 25 hours. The point that I'm trying to make is these gasoline engines that run these these generators are running at wide open throttle, and I believe that is analogous to what you're talking about, the adrenal burnout. And if you had a diesel generator and just loafed along at half the RPMs, the revolutions per minute, they'd last 10, 15 times longer, and they do.
Worried about lead, fluoride, and other contaminants in your drinking water? Get a ProPure with the Pro 1G 2.0 cleanable reusable filter and remove up to 200 contaminants. Drink water the way nature meant it to be. Clean, crisp, and refreshing. See the complete line of ProPure products, including the new ProMax shower filter. There's a ProPure for you. Visit your authorized ProPure dealer for details or ProPureUSA.com. That's ProPureUSA.com.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson Adam Pulaski of the Pulaski Law Firm with principal office in Houston, Texas is the attorney responsible for the content of this ad. This ad is not legal advice, and the choice of a lawyer should not be based solely upon advertisement. Services may not be available in all states. Attention Xarelto users. If you or a loved one took Xarelto and suffered a serious bleeding event, you may be entitled to financial compensation. Xarelto is a popular prescription blood thinner used to prevent blood clots and protect patients from strokes. These serious bleeding events have led to numerous cases of hospitalization and even death. Phone lines are open 24/7. Call 800-261-0937. That's 800-261-0937.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson. Bar Justice is responsible for the content of this ad. Attention, all women who have been diagnosed with ovarian cancer. In February and May 2016, Johnson & Johnson baby powder was ordered to pay $72 million and $55 million by two juries to two women who contracted ovarian cancer after years of using the talcum baby powder product. Multiple studies show that women who have long-term use of talcum powder in products such as baby powder for feminine hygiene can increase the risk of contracting ovarian cancer. If you or a family member have been diagnosed with ovarian cancer and used talcum powder prior to the diagnosis, call Talcum Baby Powder Alert today. You may be entitled to substantial compensation. The consultation is free and you'll pay nothing unless you receive a settlement. So if you or a loved one used talcum baby powder products before being diagnosed with or died from ovarian cancer, make this important free call today. Call 1-800-588-7342. 1-800-588-7342.
Have you checked your Google search results lately? Search results are usually the first impression that people form of you or your business, so make sure that they create a positive impression with ReputationDefender.com. What the internet says about you can have a big impact on your life and your livelihood, even if it's not true. Fortunately, you can now control how you look online and in online search results with ReputationDefender.com. Call 800-831-0771 now. That's 800-831-0771 for your free reputation analysis. If you have negative material from an ex-employee, upset patient, or former client, newspaper article, legal issue, social media, or other source showing up in your search results, you can combat it with ReputationDefender.com. Our dedicated experts in patented technology can help make your online search results look their best. Call 800-831-0771 to learn more. 800-831-0771. That's 800-831-0771. Or visit ReputationDefender.com. Dangerous blood clot device alert. If you or a loved one had an IVC filter placed to prevent blood clots from traveling to your heart or lungs and suffered an injury, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. The FDA warns that IVC filters may cause serious complications, such as heart or lung damage, internal bleeding, and even death. These dangerous blood clot devices can break, and the metal fragments can travel to your heart or lungs, causing serious injuries. If you or a loved one suffered organ damage or other injuries from an IVC filter, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Act now. Time is limited to file a claim. For a free consultation and free information, call Injury Help Desk at 800-478-1507. 800-478-1507. 800-478-1507. This is an advertisement. Paid non-attorney spokesperson. InjuryHelpDesk.com is responsible for this advertisement. Principal office, Las Vegas, Nevada.
This is a warning to all household pests, to all cockroaches, spiders, ants, rodents, and other pests. If you've just made yourself at home in someone else's home, you'd better hope the owners never hear about Terminix, because Terminix has the know-how and the means to do whatever it takes to remove you from that home. Terminix has over 85 years of experience exterminating invaders like you. And right now, they're making it easier than ever for homes to be protected by offering a free pest estimate to every caller at 1-800-676-1468. Cockroaches, spiders, ants, rodents, and other pests. This is your eviction notice. With one call, Terminix will remove you from the home you've invaded. If you think you can simply come back later, think again. Terminix will protect that home with a 100% satisfaction money-back guarantee, so you can never return. Warning, homeowners are calling Terminix right now for a free pest estimate at 1-800-676-1468. 1-800-676-1468.
Limitations apply. See plan for details.
Dr. Norman Shealy is with us, and Dr. Sergey Sorin is with us, and we're talking about the burnout of the adrenals, and the analogy I was drawing was one of a small gas-powered generator running at wide open throttle. Is that analogous to what you're talking about, Dr. Sorin?
I absolutely agree with you on that one. You, well, as an analogy, you nailed it. That's, I came across, I also mentioned during the meetup group that I'm involved in some, in martial arts, mixed martial arts, MMA. And one of the things, I had the pleasure of working with a gentleman who was basically, I noticed, I'm not going to go into details or in terms of, I'm not going to reveal too much personal information, but the concept is that I see this all the time. And we ended up talking quite a bit. And the commonality is that this is somebody who has a hard time relaxing, has a hard time following orders, but that really, or directions or instruction. But that doesn't surprise me, because when you are on an adrenal burnout and you're pumping adrenaline, you are in that tunnel vision zone. So he may be doing his best, but he's going to have a hard time learning. He is also having difficult time controlling the blood pressure, having what most likely is going to be cholesterol and many other chronic health conditions, and highly likely leading up to stroke or a heart attack if things don't stop. And so we were talking about the various ways to do things, and he kept asking me about salt and genetics, and I kept saying, don't worry about salt. I mean, it may be a factor, but don't worry, genetics is not something you can control. You can control how you respond to stress. You can control your habits. And that's the main thing.
You can't afford the luxury of anger, guilt, anxiety, or depression. That's the bottom line.
And Dr. Shealy, is that because they are killers?
Yeah. They are wearing you out at a rapid pace. And that, it's all interrelated, isn't it? Because if you have good health habits, which is only 3% of Americans, by the way, who have all 4 of the basic health habits, your telomeres shrink 1% every year of life. If you are fat, if you're overweight, if you don't eat adequate fruits and vegetables, if you don't exercise 30 minutes 5 days a week, your telomeres shrink a lot faster. So depending upon how many of these other negative stress habits you have, you die, on average in this country, of 22 years early. And that means a lot of people die 40 or 50 years early because of stress.
Now, the other component of this is, and Norman, I do talk about this a lot, it doesn't matter, to us personally, it's more important the quality of life, more so than the quantity. In other words, both Norm and I have mentioned that neither of us really cares much about death. The death is not this big scary wolf that's going to happen eventually. It's having a quality of life experience for us, for the loved ones, to be able to be productive, to be able to live life to the fullest. And that is the other factor. And stress has a lot to do with this. Norm, would you like to comment a little bit about that?
Well, the only thing you have to worry about is staying stressed. Not that you can't have stress. The point is you need to do something about it and then get detached from it, get away from it. Either, fight back or relax and let go. It's that simple.
Dr. Shealy, there's a post on the internet that talks about smoking cannabis. And, some people, I believe, smoke marijuana to relax. And this post talks about smoking cannabis alters your DNA, causing mutations that can trigger serious illness, including cancer. And it says, smoking cannabis alters a person's DNA, causing mutations. Experts say these mutations can trigger serious illness, including cancer. Mutations passed to children and future generations, raising their risk as well. Do you think that's true?
Absolutely. Breathing smoke, whether it's marijuana or tobacco or wood, is not healthy.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And it says that the research found that cancers and illnesses were likely caused by cell mutations resulting from cannabis properties having a chemical interaction with a person's DNA. Now, it's one thing to be stupid and harm yourself. It's another thing to pass it on to your children and your children's children. And that's what this article's talking about, that it can be passed on.
Well, all of these things are part of overall health. And, you know, to me, the single most important thing that people need to do is make conscious decisions of how much stress they are willing to allow in their life.
Mm-hmm. Talking about conscious decisions. I know a man, is married, has children, and he lives across the road from a dump. I'm talking about a landfill. And I was reading an article about the results of living near a landfill. The smell of rotting trash increases the risk of cancer. Now, that's just one increased risk. What about the risks of whatever is in that landfill, the leachate that forms at the bottom of the liner, that perforates the liner that goes into the water table, that then we get to drink, which is a result of this landfill filled with refrigerators and freezers and trash and plastic and oil and nickel-cadmium batteries and these compact fluorescent light bulbs and the regular fluorescent light bulbs and the mercury and the batteries and all this stuff that people just throw in the trash that ends up in this pile that decays over time and leaches into the water supply. So I just wanted to share.
But some of it's coming up, you know, I suspect, also chemically, if you will, and energetically. And they actually cover up these landfills sometimes and start building on them. I wouldn't want to live over an old landfill.
There was a Allied Waste, the number 2 waste company in the country, wanted to build a landfill in the little hamlet where I was living in Virginia, and we fought it, and we successfully fought it. And I remember that Allied Waste sent the representative to go on the radio. I was interviewed on a morning program. I was not a broadcaster. I was just a farmer. And I was interviewed, and then right after me, they had the Allied Waste representative talking about how great this is. I mean, can you imagine? They're going to provide canine dog to the sheriff's office. They were going to build a swimming pool for the high school, and they were going to level the surface of this dump so that they could put a ball field on top of it, so the children could play ball on top of the landfill. But what they failed to say is that the smell of this landfill, even covered with layers of dirt, was enough to attract all these birds that would fly over and poop on everybody trying to watch the game. And absolutely true, Dr. Shealy. I'm not exaggerating. And the methane gas would light on fire in many of these ball fields, because when they turned on those high pressure lights, these sparks from the lights would light the ball fields on fire from the methane gas rising from them. So it's not as good as these waste companies would like us to believe they are. Dr. Soren, our number 1, Dr. Shealy shared with us some of his experiences in the early days of medicine, med school, those kinds of things, residency, internship. Do you have some that you'd like to share with us?
I'm not sure if this is appropriate for the radio, but I'm smiling right now. But I'll just do a cursory, and then you let me know if that's proper.
Well, just say it. Just say it in a way that is good for family radio. You know.
I will try my very best. Anybody recall the times of when people used to do strange things with gerbils?
Yeah. I remember that there was
emergency room with their. Was it politely as I can, removal of a foreign object, which is a gerbil.
Wait a minute. Was this in?
There is a story, true life story of a gerbil. I'm going to just give you the elements in the mix, and things can be pieced together. Gerbil, methane gas accumulating behind the gerbil, a lit match to see if the gerbil could be removed on their own. And the gerbil flying out like a cannon, like a cannonball, with being propelled by methane gas with a fireball right behind it, with a burning of the mucosa, as well as the person who is holding the match. I can get a little more graphic than that, but that's...
Now,
that's enough.
Dr. Soren,
I'll stop right there.
I think we got it. Now, I literally remember, I believe it was in the 1980s, hearing a story about that, and I believe it included a person who was on the radio or television. Is that the story? Are you the doctor that did this? That got this?
No, I did not have the pleasure of direct experience with that, but it certainly stands out.
When we come back, can you share some other stories with us? Dr. Soren, Dr. Shealy. Class, I'm a survivalist, and my plan is to be independent of everything that I can so that supply chain disruptions have a minimum impact on our family. What's the first thing that you do when the power goes out? I've researched the best value solar energy system that I can find, one that's backed by the technical support necessary for the undertaking. The system's installed and is generating electricity right now with equipment purchased from IronEdison.com. You heard Brandon Williams, CEO of IronEdison.com, right here on USA Prepares. Together, we designed our system. In my opinion, our IronEdison.com system has more features, more value, and more potential than any other system I've found. We chose the Snyder Electric system with a hybrid inverter, charge controller, power panel, battery disconnect, and the system control panel. If you want energy independence, as we have, please consider calling the engineering team at IronEdison.com, 720-432-6433, 720-432-6433.
So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today. Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug-out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of slingbow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com. My computer is so slow, it's making me crazy.
I used to have that problem.
Did you quit using the computer, or did you buy a new one?
No, I called Geeks On Site. They made an appointment to visit my home and showed up the same day.
You mean they didn't ask you to bring your computer to a shop? That's what happened when I called a support company.
Geeks On Site can go to your home or business or even repair your computer online. They have 24/7 emergency service.
If you are having problems with your PC or Mac, call Geeks On Site, 1-800-591-1682. Our friendly certified computer repair experts are available 24/7. Call now for a free diagnosis, 1-800-591-1682. Data recovery, virus removal, and maintenance for all laptops, desktops, printers, and networks. That's Geeks On Site for friendly, certified computer repair experts available 24/7 over the phone or in your home or business. Just call 1-800-591-1682. That's 1-800-591-1682. 1-800-591-1682.
There's nothing more enticing and intoxicating than the finest meat cooking on an open flame. Freeze-dried meat from newharvest.com is U.S. grown, 100% all-natural with no extra fillers. Just grass-fed beef and free-range chicken guaranteed to stay fresh and delicious. Add New Harvest freeze-dried meats to your current food storage. You'll buy direct from the factory, not a third party, ensuring the best price and the highest quality. See all our products at newharvestfoods.com. That's newharvestfoods.com.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson. Bar Justice is responsible for the content of this ad. This ad is not legal advice, and the choice of a lawyer should not be based solely upon advertisements. Service may not be available in all states.
Attention. This is an important message for anyone who had an IVC filter implanted to prevent blood clots from traveling to their heart or lungs. The FDA warns that IVC filters may cause serious complications, such as heart or lung damage, internal bleeding, and even death. If you or a loved one has had an IVC filter implanted, you may be entitled to substantial compensation. Call the IVC Filter Justice now at 800-870-7899. IVC filters have been known to fracture and cause tearing of the heart, lungs, or vena cava, internal bleeding, pulmonary embolism, and even death. Our network of experienced attorneys is ready to fight for you at no charge. You pay no fees unless your case is settled. But hurry, time is limited to make a claim, so call now for a free confidential consultation. Don't fight this alone. If you or a loved one has had an IVC filter implanted, call IVC Filter Justice now at 800-870-7899. 800-870-7899. That's 800-870-7899.
Are you worried about how dangerous the world has become? In these days of terrorist attacks, natural disasters, or even a future collapse, you need to be medically prepared to keep your family safe. I'm Joe Alton, MD of store.doomandbloom.net, where you'll find an entire line of uniquely designed medical kits and supplies for when help is not on the way. For everything from individual first aid kits to the ultimate family medical bag, go to store.doomandbloom.net today. That's store.doomandbloom.net. You'll be glad you did.
Dr. Norman Shealy's with us, and Dr. Sergey Soren's with us. If you'd like to go to Dr. Shealy's website, normshealy.com, NORMSHEALY.com, and that's where you can purchase the Bliss oils, the magnesium lotion, his books, and sign up for the free newsletter. Dr. Soren, you were talking about this gerbilectomy.
Well, we'll try not to go into more detail. But yeah, go ahead, please. Yeah.
We've got Miles in Europe. Miles is calling in. Miles, senior instructor as well. Welcome, Miles.
Good morning, Doc. Or Docs, good morning. Good morning, class. How are you doing?
Great. How about you, Miles? Good morning.
Well, you can't beat me, Doc. You know that.
Would try.
Doc, yeah, no, I have a question. I have a friend that is calling me since half a year, and he's a veteran, and he has usually when he's getting into stress situations or he's getting some of his feedbacks when he's thinking back onto a combat situation, he's getting stomach issues, and his doctors are only prescribing him these photon blockers like pantoprazole, and that would be like Nexium or something like that. Do you know a natural remedy that, in case of when the props hit the fan, what he can take instead of that if it's necessary?
Well, basically, post-traumatic stress disorder is associated with extremely low doses of oxytocin, and the simplest thing would be Air Bliss, totally safe, and short-term or long-term, it would not cause any problems.
Would it even take care of the side effects with the stomach upheaval that already was been caused?
It certainly can do that, because what it does is it quiets the stress response. It is one of the great antidotes to stress.
Let me just put another angle on what Norm is saying. And I do come from a conventional medical background, and this is exactly what I would do in the emergency room, and I still work in the emergency room, where we have limited time and limited capacity given the system, and the system is, the acute system is better than chronic system by any means. But again, just notice what's going on here. It addresses this really literally, and part of the question was, is there a better Band-Aid, so to speak, for the stomach ulcer that's induced by stress? But what Norm is saying, and this is highly important, and not just for this question, but for many people, is that what about what's underneath the bleed? What's underneath the wound? In other words, so to speak, what's causing the stress? How do you address the stress? Because if you handle stress, the ulcer is not going to be so much of an issue, or the stomach problem is not going to be much of an issue. In other words, as a matter of fact, you could actually get rid of this problem entirely. So the question, so the thing to do is to refocus the efforts on just working with the outcome of the stress, and just keep putting a Band-Aid on it. And by the way, what Norm mentioned is absolutely great, but to really switch focus and attention to the underlying cause.
I agree with you. I don't have issues like that. I'm processing stress and when push comes to shove, very much differently than other people do. But here is a situation when things do not get better, and we will face some situation where somebody needs an instant remedy. This is the question to answer here.
Yep. No. There are definitely modalities, and Norm mentioned one, but there are other things that we can certainly also recommend. Actually, Norm, I think we just trying to go back. You mentioned the Air Bliss as one. Yes. Okay. Yep. And
thank you very much, doctors. Doc Shealy, may I call you at a different time to talk to you about that one more time?
Happy to.
Thank you. Have a great day. Thank you, gentlemen.
You too, Miles.
Thank you.
Miles, thank you so much. Deborah in Kentucky, I'm sorry we are out of time. I was hoping that we could get all your calls. Class, the thing to do is call us earlier instead of in the last whole segment of the broadcast. It'd be great if you could call us earlier. I'll give you that number, 866-582-9933, 866-582-9933. Dr. Shealy, Dr. Soren, thank you so much for being with us. Class, above all, honesty and integrity. How many of you want to learn how to dig up bugs, worms, and raise crickets for food? Do you prefer to eat them dried and crunchy or while still alive? Well, you won't have to if you can defend your food supply from predators. You may want to get an AR-15 kit from guns80.com and build your own AR-15 rifle from a kit. If you can legally own a rifle, you can purchase this AR-15 kit. If you're handy, you can complete the rifle in about an hour. The kit comes with all the parts you're going to need to build your rifle, but you'll need a drill press. And survivalists need one anyway. The Guns80.com team purchased the same used floor-standing drill press that I have for $100. You can too. And when you're finished, you'll have a paperwork-free AR-15 rifle, a drill press, drill bits, and the knowledge to maintain your AR-15 rifle, all for less than you expect. So if you want a paperwork-free AR-15 parts kit like mine, visit Guns80.com, Guns80.com, and let the unprepared have our share of the bugs.
Attention USA Prepares listeners. When you're on the road or have limited data or Wi-Fi, now you can listen to USA Prepares unfiltered and untapped at no extra charge on this non-federal phone number, 1-605-477-3249. Try it now to listen to USA Prepares 24/7 at no extra cost or data charges. These are not on federal lines. These are lines located on Indian reservations off the grid. Call 1-605-477-3249. No smartphones or internet needed. To hear USA Prepares untapped and off the grid, just call 1-605-477-3249.
Water is the single most important thing your body needs, so you want to be sure it's the best for you and your family. Since 2005, thousands have depended on Berkey purified water. The Berkey Guy provides the lowest priced filtration systems in every size. For incredibly delicious water now and in an emergency, get to GoBerkey.com or call 877-886-3653. 877-886-3653. GoBerkey.com.